the Andromeda Initiative, founded by Gian Garson in 2176, launching in 2185, a civilian multi-species project created to send explorers, colonists, scientists, soldiers on a one-way trip to settle in a new galaxy. The ultimate goal of the journey is to establish a permanent presence and create a reliable trade route between the Milky Way and Andromeda. However, such an undertaking costs not billions, not trillions, but quintillions of credits. In wake of such a number, it's hard to imagine that nefarious forces won't find a way to get their hooks in, that this seemingly ambitious adventure won't find itself at the mercy of an entity whose intentions are not quite clear. Sadly, the Andromeda Initiative appears to have such an entity. So in today's video, please enjoy as we investigate who is the Benefactor. Okay, this is a mystery for a 5-year-old game that people, on the whole, aren't playing as much anymore, and for good reason. To be fair, it's not the most memorable of experiences, and furthermore, this mystery as a result may not be the best written of all time. However, I still found it to be interesting, and I will give Mass Effect Andromeda props for that until the end of time. Besides that, before we begin, all I want to do is give you ample time to understand that there will be spoilers in this video. So if that's something that you don't want to ruin for yourself and you want to play Mass Effect Andromeda for yourself at some point, doesn't matter how old the game is, I still owe you that spoiler warning. So, let's begin. To understand this mystery, we need to first understand the founder of the Andromeda Initiative, Gian Garson. Gian Garson was a human billionaire who spearheaded the Andromeda Initiative and seemingly sunk her entire net worth into funding the project, and then some. Even if at the very beginning of the game we can only use our mental estimations to figure out how much this would cost, billions certainly wouldn't cover it. So something already doesn't add up. When we actually arrive in Andromeda, we discover that Gian Garson is already dead, seemingly killed due to the Scourge, which is a widespread energy phenomenon discovered in the Helios cluster, a massive dark energy cloud that catastrophically interferes with the function of most technology. For the time being, it's not important, as we, as the Pathfinder, have more important business to attend to, such as finding resources and a place to settle and call home. However, the mystery surrounding Gian Garson's death slowly begins to crop back up during the side quest Ryder Family Secrets, in which our AI companion informs us about the symbiotic relationship and the fact that Sam can enhance the abilities and performance of Ryder. Sadly, Sam is unable to tell you what Alec Ryder's plan was, because he placed a block on Sam's memory array. We slowly lift this memory block, unlocking new memories as we find memory triggers, first in Alec Ryder's Hyperion quarters, and then across the Helios cluster. Whilst exploring Alec's quarters, we also discover that there are plenty of encrypted logs. For now, the first encrypted memory will reveal Alec Ryder's motive for joining the initiative.
Alec, your recommendations will never fly. Artificial intelligence?
It's our best option.
If the Council gets wind of this, it'll set humanity standing back decades. You're overreaching.
Ambassador Goyle, I'm the military attaché on the Citadel. My mandate is clear. Find an edge for Earth.
And AI is your answer?
We need to catch up. The Asari, the Solarians, they're centuries ahead of us.
But it's illegal.
Their rules, not ours. Why deny Earth an advantage?
Define this advantage.
It will set us free. We're prisoners of our own 5 senses. There's a reality greater than ours that we can't perceive, but an AI can.
How?
By augmenting our own abilities and adding a few new ones.
Well, none of that stopped those Geth from revolting.
Because they were separate from their creators. But AIs and humans interface directly, experiencing the world together. benefits both. There's no creator to revolt against.
I'm sorry, Alec. We can't take the risk. I appreciate your work, but your request will be denied.
Alec?
Ellen, what did the doctor say?
He told me to appreciate the time I have left. There's no cure, Alec. It's terminal.
Not on my watch.
Alec wants to use AI to cure his wife, who has a terminal illness. As far as anybody's concerned, however, for the time being she is dead. Sadly, the use of AI in the Milky Way and Council space especially is highly illegal. Viewing this memory will decrypt some logs in Alec's room.
Amazing how life can change in an instant. Suddenly my career doesn't matter. This incredible woman I've been married to all these years. She's facing the end. All I think about are the times I wasn't there for her. Well, that's going to change. It occurs to me that Sam might be more than I ever imagined.
Alec's pursuit of AI wouldn't cease because the Alliance told him to stop, which leads us to the second memory.
It's simple. We take Sam.
Who?
I named the AI Simulated Adaptive Matrix. Sam. We use your research and interface Sam with an implant.
My work on biotic implants was yielding results, but this... I don't know.
What did the doctor say?
Alec,
What did he say?
it's getting worse.
There's your answer. This will work. Sam can fix you.
Alec, I'm not some war you have to win. You're not an N7 anymore.
That doesn't mean
They kicked you out of the Alliance for this.
We're talking about your life.
So as a result of his research into AI, Alec was dishonorably discharged from the Alliance. So no matter the consequences, he's committed to this project. As a result of viewing this memory, another encrypted log will decrypt, broken down into 3 parts: Ellen's research, the Geth mistake, and the Shadow Broker deal. The most important of these 3, I think, is the Shadow Broker deal. Before we get there, Ellen's research reveals that Sam can be used for so much more than curing a simple disease. The second log shows Alec beginning to understand what went wrong with the Geth and the Quarians, believing that the synthetic and organic symbiosis of Sam will mean that each enhances the other and therefore there is no creator, and therefore no risk of resentment and no chance of repeating the Geth mistake. But the log about the Shadow Broker's deal is where things get interesting.
Ryder, Barlevon says you're looking for me. It's not every day an XN7 looks for the Shadow Broker. Anything can be had, provided you can pay. Especially when the tech involves artificial intelligence. The Council will have specters all over my ass if they catch wind of this. Translation, I'll get you the code you want, but the price just doubled. If you try to renege, I've got people with guns.
In Alec's desperation to complete the AI, he started looking in the darker corners of the galaxy, attempting to contact the Shadow Broker via Barlevon on the Citadel. As we know, contacting the Shadow Broker doesn't come without its consequences. Once you're on the Broker's radar, all of your information, everything about you is fair game. And it doesn't matter what Alec tells the Shadow Broker can find out what Alec is doing. And anybody with the right amount of money can pay the Shadow Broker for that information, which is likely what results in contact with the entity we know as the Benefactor, which of course can be witnessed in one of Alec's memories.
It will be just a moment. Hello, Alec.
I'm too old for Cloak and Dagger. I got your message. I'm here. Who are you?
A benefactor, if you like.
You have something to offer me?
A future?
That's vague.
A future for your wife. You're out of money, your contacts have dried up. You can't finish Sam.
How do you know about...
I can help you. Whatever you need.
Start by telling me what you need.
Your AI is more than a cure for your wife. It could also be the salvation for many others.
I don't follow.
Where we're going, we'll need a different perspective to understand things.
Where's that? The Andromeda Galaxy?
I have a proposal for you. And Ellen doesn't have much time. Are you interested?
Who was that? The Benefactor?
I believe there was more to the Andromeda Initiative than was publicly understood. Private logs are now available in your father's quarters. They may shed further light on the matter.
It appears as if it wasn't Gian Garson who recruited Alec to the Andromeda Initiative, but rather the Benefactor themselves. Sam is a super intelligent AI, and if it believes that there is more to the Andromeda Initiative than publicly understood, that is the case, and the Benefactor has their own end that requires Sam.
I detect additional memories, but they are currently locked. They may yet hold answers.
Now we have the thread to pull on. Back in Alec Ryder's quarters, we can now access logs regarding the Benefactor.
I had a strange meeting yesterday. I thought it would be with Gian Garson, who founded the initiative, but it wasn't. I guess Gian's the visionary, the one who gets everyone excited about the project and drums up publicity. But then this Benefactor apparently provides resources and money. And I mean a lot of money. It's a little unusual. But everything about this project is.
Interesting. I wonder if Director Tan knows anything about this. Worth talking to him.
I accepted the initiative's offer. They're calling me a Pathfinder. There's no other option left. Sam will never happen without their help. Our savings are gone, and no one will return my calls. I am a pariah. There's something strange going on with this Benefactor. But Ellen's getting worse. I can't fail her.
To progress the Ryder family secret side mission now, we need to go and speak with Director Tan aboard the Nexus. The Hyperion may be docked on the Nexus depending on whether or not you do this before the end of the main story, but if you did it at the end like me, you're in a completely different place, so you've basically got to hop aboard the Tempest and go to the Nexus.
I'm curious. What do you know about the people who backed the initiative?
What everyone knows. Gian Garson was the founder and visionary. Unfortunately, she died on the Nexus during the Scourge disaster.
Is there anyone else?
I would almost welcome them. A voice to silence the rabble. Then Kesh might listen. But no, we're alone. Why do you ask?
I have information that suggests Garson wasn't the only one.
What sort of information?
It's complicated, but there was a silent partner. A Benefactor.
Even if that were true, we've been here 14 months with no sign of them. This partner is either a phantom, missing, or dead. Nope, Gian Garson was the beacon. A sad end to someone of such stature. Dying alone.
Oh?
It was chaos. By the time they found her, she was already dead, succumbed to her injuries.
Was there a follow-up investigation?
I wasn't even out of stasis. But knowing the violence of the Scourge disaster, death was everywhere. If you're suggesting something else happened, Ryder, I'd rather you didn't. Let's not add to the confusion.
Thank you for your time.
Ryder, if you wish to pursue this further, accessing Nexus security records may reveal more information.
As Sam suggests, the security logs may shed more light on Garson's death and the Benefactor's role in the initiative. The logs will reveal 2 documents, one of which will read Missing Persons Report, Gian Garson. Andromeda Initiative founder, Gian Garson, has been reported missing. She was last seen during the emergency stasis revival that occurred after the Scourge encounter. A bulletin has been issued. The second document will read Garson investigation closed. Update to the missing persons report filed on Gian Garson. Maintenance crew found her body in a Nexus apartment. Severe burns were apparent, similar to others we saw who were killed during the Scourge disaster. It's unclear how she got there, but confusion and disorientation during the Scourge event are likely. Events align with the timeline. Cause of death, casualty of Scourge disaster. Status, case closed.
The only hard fact is that her body was found in one of the apartments.
Then connecting her death to the Scourge disaster was mere speculation.
Yeah, they just wanted this to go away. I think we need to check out that apartment.
Environmental data will allow us to reconstruct the scene.
It's a little odd that the founder and visionary of the Andromeda Initiative winds up dead upon arrival in Andromeda, and people want that to just go away. It also seems convenient that the face of this project is now gone, when everybody who's joined up with the Andromeda Initiative can no longer turn back. Inspecting the apartment inside which Garson's body was found will confirm that something isn't quite right.
There. This was no accident. She was murdered.
As this incident occurred over a year ago, her killer is likely far away by now.
Yeah. But, wait. This whole area was shuttered back then. Didn't open until the Hyperion arrived. So what was Garson even doing here?
Perhaps a further scan of the room is in order.
It's at this point where we can find a false wall, behind which is a secret room.
This is Gian Garson. I don't have much time. I've been hiding in the sealed-off sections of the Nexus since we got here. Someone's trying to kill me, and now I can hear them down in the hydroponics area. They're coming. I've embedded what I know in my VI in the Cultural Center. This log has the code, and whatever happens... Oh god, they're outside the door.
There will also be a datapad with Garson's notes dated 2819, stating in 2179, once mentioned a storm is coming, said evidence was clear, meaning Andromeda, why? Hyperion, still no contact. Where is Alec? Did they get him too?
Wow, this is some serious shit.
Yes, deeply troubling. I have the code she mentioned for the VI kiosk.
It appears as if Garson was on somebody's hit list before she even left the Milky Way, and suspects that Alec would also have been a target. Garson knew somebody was coming for her and hid in a sealed-off section of the Nexus, and yet her killer still got to her. Does this have something to do with the Benefactor? I suppose that is the question. As she tells us, her VI in the Cultural Center may have more information for us.
Sam, can we hear that message Garson talked about?
Unlocking it now. Rerouting to our private channel.
For years, there was a silent partner involved with the initiative. The truth is, I was running out of money. Then a benefactor stepped in. I didn't ask questions. I never met them face to face. That was a mistake. I lied to everyone. Something big spooked them in the Milky Way, and now they're moving 100,000 of us to Andromeda. I hope it's all for the good, but I have my doubts. And now I think they're going to remove me. Alec Ryder and I had a code word for this. Fulcrum. He may have learned more.
Garson claims getting into bed with the Benefactor without ever meeting them face to face was a mistake, and that something big spooked them in the Milky Way. Somehow they were aware of the Reapers well in advance. She also believes the Benefactor is trying to get rid of her, and she has doubts that their intent is good.
What did that mean? Something big in the Milky Way?
Perhaps the answer is in your father's final locked memory. It is now available to view in SAM node.
Now we must return to the Hyperion to access the final memory in the SAM node, and hopefully get some answers, or at least more questions. You know how this usually goes.
There is an added layer of security.
What was it Gian Garson said? The code word is fulcrum.
That worked. This is the last memory your father encrypted, from the final planning stages of Hyperion's departure.
Castus, thanks for calling. Not a lot of people still admit to knowing me.
I owe you. Those were good days on the Citadel, Alec. I checked with my son Garrus. He works there now, CSEC.
And?
He says the Council thinks Commander Shepard's story is bogus.
Uh-huh. But?
Privately, I've heard they're starting to wonder.
This threat, they're called Reapers?
Shepard's word for them. Something about a cycle, an extinction event that happens every 50,000 years, galaxy-wide. And supposedly the alarm clock's about to go off again.
Unbelievable.
I know. But according to Garrus, Shepard's as level-headed as they come. Takes after you. And then 7. So, if the commander says these Reapers are coming, I don't want to be around to see them.
Thanks, Castus.
Take care.
Yes?
I checked around. There might be something to this.
If there is a war, the scramble for resources will be on a scale we've never seen before. The chaos will be monumental.
We should accelerate our timetable.
They will keep the reason quiet. No need to alarm anyone. But the arcs must be underway before any fighting starts. We can't get caught in the crossfire.
Agreed.
Is there something else?
Years ago, you mentioned salvation for a lot of people. You knew this was coming.
I knew something was coming. In theory. Shepard made it real.
And now that you're right?
We'll need a new home. We're going to be all that's left of civilization.
Sam.
Yes, Pathfinder?
Track down my kids. Tell them their old man needs to talk. It's urgent. And how is Ellen?
She remains in stasis. As you hoped, it has suspended the progress of her disease.
Make sure her pod is on the Hyperion. Don't use her real name. I'll tell the kids when the time is right.
The Ryder family secrets quest is slowly coming to its end here. We discover that Ryder's mother is alive. Cryostasis appears to have halted the progress of her disease, and while she's not saved, she may one day be. But back on the trail of the Benefactor, that's coming to its end as well, with no satisfying conclusion in sight. However, in Alec Ryder's quarters, new logs have been made available once again.
We've just arrived in Andromeda. Before the rest of the Hyperion wakes up, I've checked our comms for any signals from the Milky Way. Looks like sometime in 2186. Everything went to hell. We got out just ahead of it. Commander Shepard was right. And so was our mysterious benefactor.
Alec, this is Gian Garson. For the record, year 2185. It's about fulcrum. I'm on the Nexus and we're going into stasis for the voyage. Looks like you're already asleep. I'm very uncomfortable with our benefactor, and the fact that we still don't know who they are, and all these lives in our hands. I should have done something sooner. This is all very troubling, Alec. Let's talk as soon as you reach Andromeda.
Jen, I got your message about fulcrum. It's now 2819. We reached Andromeda but have no sign of the Nexus. I have the same concerns as you. In all likelihood, the Milky Way... well, something terrible happened there. At least the Benefactor spared us from that. But why keep hiding? Something's off. But we've got bigger problems at the moment. Habitat 7 may be a bust. Finding a home is all that matters now.
Alec made it clear in his logs he was suspicious of the Benefactor from go, and therefore shares the concerns, or shared the concerns, shall we say, as both parties are deceased, with Gian Garson. And a year after the launch of the Andromeda Initiative, the Reapers attacked the Milky Way, confirming the Benefactor's concerns that something was coming even further than Shepard's warnings could. But this is where the quest sort of ends. There's nobody besides Sam we can really speak to about the Benefactor. Nobody has anything to tell us about this clandestine figure funding the Andromeda Initiative from the shadows with an ulterior motive that required the death of its founder. So before we dive into any theories, let's begin to discern the obvious information. The Benefactor funded the Andromeda Initiative as a means to evade the Reapers for one, or at least something to the scale of the Reapers in the Milky Way, so they're more than likely in the Andromeda galaxy with us. Whilst communicating with Alec in his memories, the Benefactor's facial features change from various races and sexes, but the voice remains the same and appears to belong to that of a human female or maybe even an Asari. Despite being echoey because it's a memory, the voice doesn't appear to be synthetic remotely, so it's either a really good disguise or an authentic voice. But due to remote communication and the identity protecting measures that are in place, it is entirely possible that this could just be a modulated voice. That being said, overdoing the disguise just increases the risk that it will begin to crack. But clearly effort has gone in to ensure that the identity of the Benefactor remains unknown. The next point is, the Benefactor clearly has access to a massive amount of money. Funding the Andromeda Initiative would have cost in the quintillions of credits. It's no small undertaking. No one individual could fund that and remain incognito, which would suggest the Benefactor may just be one aspect to a broader organisation that they represent, rather than an individual who just has stupid amounts of money and wants to survive the Reapers. Despite this, the Benefactor's intent is unknown, but for some reason Gian Garson had to die, and had Alec Ryder not already died, maybe he would have as well. Somebody in the Andromeda galaxy killed Gian Garson after coming out of cryosleep 14 months prior to the events of the game. Either this killing was sanctioned before the Andromeda Initiative even left the Milky Way, or the broader organisation behind this Benefactor guise is in Andromeda, which would make more sense. That being said, on those last 2 points, I think it is both. I don't think they cancel each other out. Whatever the Benefactor is wanting with Andromeda, it requires the use of the SAM node, and Alec Ryder was the only person who could create this AI in the form that the Benefactor needed it to be, or at least that's my theory. Whoever this individual is, they are hiding for some reason that isn't known, and that in itself can make it difficult to figure out the identity of who's hiding. It appears as if they've remained in the shadows. Their efforts, their contributions, they rather that remain secret no matter what, which means their plans are longer term. Back in the Milky Way, their finances and resources were endless. They could get any information they wanted, including discovering Alec Ryder's research into AI. There is a lot to consider in theorizing, but before I dive into the segment of this video built heavily on the concept of confirmation bias, I think it's important to consider what the actual developers have to say about the Benefactor. Apparently, the Benefactor's identity is intentionally left unresolved as it has deeper ties to Mass Effect Andromeda's meta-story, according to the producer Mike Gamble. By the time you find Gian Garson's killer, they're long gone. What that means is this subject was intended to be expanded upon in Mass Effect Andromeda's sequel, but sadly, due to how this game panned out, I would be amazed if Mass Effect Andromeda managed to get that opportunity. But what this effectively means is there is no concrete answer that you can get from Mass Effect Andromeda alone, because this was intended to be a broader, overarching mystery that would increase in plot significance in the game that came after, and maybe even more so in a game that would come after that. So there's no way of telling, basically. But that does not mean that all theories are going to be incorrect. By the rule of storytelling, if you want to set up a mystery like this in which there's this clandestine figure with an ulterior motive in the Andromeda galaxy, then you'd establish that character at a disconnect from this side to them. So either the Benefactor or whoever the Benefactor is representing will be present somewhere in Mass Effect Andromeda, but then again I may be giving Mass Effect Andromeda the benefit of the doubt when it comes to good storytelling here. So in other words, people may use the wrong formula, but there's a good chance some might get the right answer. Regardless of if that is the case for these theories, let's take a look at some of the more popular theories that have circulated online. One theory suggests the Benefactor is another guise of the Elusive Man. I do feel as if this one is certainly not likely. The Elusive Man already works under this alter ego. He doesn't really have a human life besides, so there'd be no reason to hide that he is the Elusive Man, especially when communicating with Alec Ryder, who's developing the technology of AI. If anything, the Elusive Man would approach that as the Elusive Man, so there'd be no point to add another alias into the mix. Whilst the Elusive Man does believe Commander Shepard's warning about the Reapers, he believes there is a means to control them, therefore he'd have no reason to run away from them, and besides he shows up at the very end of Mass Effect 3, which means he never left the Milky Way galaxy, as that takes place an entire year after the departure of the Andromeda Initiative. Furthermore, Cerberus's Project Lazarus only cost 4 billion credits, and I can't believe I said only, but comparing that to how much the Andromeda Initiative would have cost, and realising that members of Cerberus were getting concerned with how much was being spent on this project, I don't think he had the funds to even do it if he wanted to. And being the head of a pro-humanity organisation, if he did, it would seem strange to share going to the Andromeda Galaxy with various different Milky Way races. With all that said, within the Helios cluster there does appear to be some Cerberus presence, if even only former Cerberus operatives and scientists. We can find a couple Cerberus scientists on Kadara who are experimenting mind control on various Milky Way races. However, the elusive man terminated them when they didn't cease these experiments back in the Milky Way, therefore they're doing it in Andromeda of their own accord, and they certainly aren't smart enough to be behind this Benefactor, guys. So I turned them into vegetables.
Make it hurt. Ah! What's happening? The river Styx runs through this level of hell, and in it are punished the wrathful and the gloomy. The former are forever lashing out.
These aren't the only two former Cerberus characters we can find in Mass Effect Andromeda. We can also meet Catherine Nye, who is the leader of an extremist anti-AI group within the Andromeda Initiative. She also goes by the alias Knight, and according to IMDb is voiced by the same person who voices the mysterious Benefactor. She can die based on your decisions within that side quest, so I'd rule her out on that alone, but also, her ideology of anti-AI appears to be completely opposing to the ideology of the Benefactor, who not only funded the Andromeda Initiative, but Alec Ryder's personal research into the SAM node, believing it would be beneficial for all. And I also believe the plan would be for the Benefactor to present themselves as an ally, until a betrayal moment in which they reveal their true identity, their true purpose, and then try to kill you, because that's just classic storytelling. As for the voice actor thing, the reuse of voice cast in games is more common than glitches, so it means nothing. But I thought I'd point it out just the same. Another popular theory is that the Benefactor could be the Shadow Broker. Whilst the Shadow Broker would be able to track down the relevant information, at first he tries to fleece Alec Ryder. Why would he then 180 and approach under a different alias, and then fund the entire Andromeda Initiative? And it couldn't be the Liara to Sony Shadow Broker either, as Liara only became Shadow Broker in 2185, the same year that the Initiative departed from the Milky Way. This mysterious Benefactor appears to have been Garson's bedfellow for quite a long time by the point the Andromeda Initiative is ready to launch from the Milky Way. And remaining in the Milky Way, Liara would have no reason to kill Gian Garson. It makes no sense. In my opinion, the Benefactor is absolutely somebody or something that is physically present in the Andromeda galaxy. If it's tied to the Andromeda Saga's meta story, then it makes no sense for it to be somebody not going with the Andromeda Initiative. I've seen videos online stating the Benefactor is Lexi. Now, I don't understand how they got to that conclusion, but it could very well be, you never know. There is another theory that states the Benefactor is Foster Addison. You know, my face is tired, Foster Addison. I don't think it's impossible. Foster Addison is the Director of Colonial Affairs for the Andromeda Initiative, which is a position that she doesn't necessarily want, however she was assured it would be temporary, but her preference is to be in a high non-elected municipal office that carried responsibility without the requirement to be a public face. But of course, like I said, every single theory you could think of right now will have its own holes, and considering the success of Andromeda, they probably always will, because I doubt we'll see a conclusion to this anytime soon at least. But I reckon I'll throw a bit of a curve in there. Now, I don't want to throw just any theory out there and destroy the report that I've built up over the past half an hour, you're welcome. But what if the Benefactor had some mirroring with the concept of the symbiosis between Ryder and Sam? That concept of organic and artificial life, the struggles and the similarities that Mass Effect has been built upon since basically day one. So my personal theory as it stands right now is that the Benefactor isn't an organic life form, but rather an artificial intelligence. Think about how much money they managed to fund the Andromeda Initiative with. Now, that may seem like a ridiculous amount of money, and any individual life form with that money would likely have popped up somewhere in the past, but an AI could probably just pull it out of their arse, couldn't they? They could probably make currency up on the spot. Think it through, nobody's met the Benefactor, however the Benefactor didn't necessarily just reach out to Gian Garson and Alec Ryder. They could have reached out to others, and one of those others could have been whoever killed Gian Garson. That interest into Alec Ryder's research into artificial intelligence and creating this environment in which both organic and synthetic lives can thrive. Access to ridiculous amounts of money would be impossible for a person to go incognito with, but if it appears on the spot because of a super intelligent AI that knows what it's doing, then it would be untraceable. Mass Effect as a whole always finds a way to bring plots back to that struggle between organics and synthetics. So is it possible that such an artificial entity exists that we don't know about yet? I know it may not sound like the most compelling narrative to keep falling back on, but considering the amount of blanks to fill, this idea feels like the most filling. Is my theory wrong? Probably. Is it dumb? Maybe. That's completely up to you, of course. But I'm going to be real, it's not my theory, I'm not the first to come up with the idea. But whilst trawling the circles of Mass Effect's Reddit and trying my best to avoid the irresistible Asari pornography, or whatever gets posted on there, I did find a theory of a relation to another franchise, an Easter egg of sorts, that I thought was quite interesting. Mass Effect Andromeda's Benefactor could be a nod to the director from the Netflix show Travelers, a sci-fi series that I've never seen in my life, I will not lie, that first aired in 2016, and of course Mass Effect Andromeda released in 2017, albeit not even a year later, so the relation may be flimsy, but I thought it was cool to point out. In Travelers, the director is a highly advanced quantum AI program that created the Grand Plan and is basically like the leader of whatever the heck's going on in that show, but it does seem to have some similarities with Mass Effect Andromeda's Benefactor, who may be keeping their true nature a secret to avoid people revolting against them. And there certainly is an anti-AI faction in Andromeda, so it's a valid concern. Furthermore, in Travelers, the true nature of the director isn't revealed until the very end of the first season, I believe, and before that there was no indication that the director was anything other than human. As for further possibilities, look at the name of the Andromeda Initiative. The Andromeda Initiative. Its insignia literally says AI. It could have a double meaning that only a few, if any, are aware of. If that's a bit too on the nose for you, I agree, but sometimes the best hidden things are hidden in plain sight. And even then it's not especially hidden, as Pathfinders utilise AI on a regular basis anyway in what they're doing in Andromeda. So it's not even a secret that there are AI at the heart of the initiative, so if there was another AI there, it has the perfect cover because everybody knows there's an AI there, they just don't know that this AI is there. You know what, even talking about this idea, I've just taught myself into a theory here. But like I've said about 60 times, this would play into the overall Andromeda saga as a correlation with the trilogy, about that endless struggle between organics and synthetics. You can escape the Reapers, go to a new galaxy, but that struggle is still there. But like I've also already said, confirmation bias will taint every single theory with regards to this, so take everything I've said with a grain of salt. But as a personal opinion, that's the theory I want to push, and I think it's a pretty damn good one. Though it's certainly not an original theory. So, what do you think about my rambles? Do you think I'm mental? I mean, I am, but do you think the theory has some weight? Do you have a theory of your own? Is there something I haven't considered? Let me know all of the details down in the comments section. Thank you all for watching this video. I know it's been a long slog of a video, but you've stuck it out. You're cool. I really appreciate it. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. And I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye. The entire video was a joke. The Benefactor is the pie jack. Yep.